Camilla wouldn't just lose the crown if Charles abdicated. She would lose 20 separate things in the first hour, and Britain has already watched one woman lose nearly every one of them. Her name was Wallis Simpson, and it happened in 1936. 20 losses, not theory, precedent. The Instrument of Abdication, the Queen Consort style, the Sovereign Grant line, the Duchy successor, the tiara vault, the residence. Everyone already written down, already mapped, already done to a woman before her. Camilla cannot draft a constitution. If Charles signs the instrument, William becomes king the same minute Catherine becomes queen. Every privilege Charles built around Camilla exists because he wears the crown. The minute he sets it down, most of them set down with him. By the end of this video, you'll hear all 20, ranked from constitutional trigger to public verdict. Stay for number 13, the moment the crown itself moves to someone else's head. And near the end, consequence 20, the one Wallis Simpson never recovered from, and the one Camilla should fear most. A Queen Consort, a signature, a precedent that already knows how this ends. Let's count them down. Number 1, Charles signs the Instrument of Abdication, and he stops being king. Abdication isn't automatic, and it isn't a speech. It takes an act of Parliament. Charles signs an Instrument of Abdication. Parliament passes the act that gives it force, and the moment it's done, he ceases to be king. This is exactly how it happened in 1936. Edward VIII signed the instrument at Fort Belvedere on the 10th of December, and the Declaration of Abdication Act made it real the next day. The template exists. It's in the National Archives. In 1936, 3 of the king's own brothers watched him sign away the throne and put their names beneath his as witnesses. 1 page, 4 signatures. That is all it takes. And the second Charles's signature dries, the throne doesn't sit empty for a heartbeat. It's already moving. Number 2, William becomes king the same minute. There is no gap. Accession is instant. There is no waiting, no interregnum, no empty throne. The moment Charles stops being king, William is king. No funeral required, no coronation required first. In 1936, the instant Edward abdicated, his brother became King George VI that same day. The crown never waits. The woman standing beside the new king rises with him, which is precisely where Camilla's fall begins. The boy who walked behind Diana's coffin at 15 becomes king in the time it takes to sign a page. There is no ceremony for it, no crowd, no announcement needed to make it true. Charles is king until the ink dries. William is king the instant it does, and the very first person to feel the change will be the woman who was queen the moment before. Number 3, Catherine becomes queen, Diana's heir. In the same instant, the wife of the reigning king is queen. The minute William is king, Catherine is queen, and the queen style moves to Diana's daughter-in-law in the very same signature that ends Camilla's. There cannot be 2 queens. In 1936, Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, became queen the day her husband became king. The consort's crown follows the reigning king automatically. So the first thing Camilla loses is the only thing she spent 30 years fighting for, and it goes straight to the woman Margaret sees as Diana's true heir. 2 women, 1 crown, and it can only rest on one head, the wife of the man who holds the throne. For 20 years, that was Camilla. In a single minute, it is Catherine, the girl who once watched Diana's funeral on television, now curtsied to as queen. Number 4, the queen style ends. She is the wife of a former king. Queen is held by the king's wife. The wife of a former king is not queen. Camilla would be styled by her husband's new title, a duchess, most likely, never queen again. Edward, in 1936, became Duke of Windsor, and his wife became Duchess of Windsor. No queen, no crown, a courtesy title, and nothing of the throne behind it. Camilla spent 17 years climbing from duchess to queen. A single signature sends her back down the ladder, and this time there is no king left to climb it for her. Number 5, her HRH is at the new king's mercy. Wallis was refused hers. Whether an abdicated king's wife keeps her royal highness is decided by the reigning monarch, and that would be William. It is not guaranteed. In 1937, the letters patent gave Edward the HRH, but expressly denied it to Wallis. The precedent for refusing a former king's wife her royal style is not theoretical. It's on file. It has a name. And the man who would hold that decision over Camilla is the son of the woman whose own HRH was stripped away in 1996. He watched exactly how that pen works. He was 14. He saw the palace take his mother's HRH, and he never forgot the machinery of it. Now that same machinery would sit in his own hands, pointed at the woman his mother was warned about. Whether Camilla keeps her royal highness would not be Charles's choice, and it would not be Camilla's. So whose would it be? Diana's son's. Number 6. The sovereign grant follows the crown to William. The sovereign grant funds the reigning monarch's household, the travel, the staff, the official life. It follows the crown. On abdication, it funds William's household, and Camilla's public funding through it ends. After 1936, the Windsors lived on a private allowance in exile, not the public purse, because a former king's household is not the state's to fund. The money that paid for Camilla's every engagement was never hers. It belonged to the office, and the office just changed hands. Number 7, the Duchy of Lancaster passes to William. The Duchy of Lancaster, the monarch's private estate worth over £1 billion, passes with the crown to the new sovereign. It never belonged to Camilla, and on abdication, its income is William's. In 1936, the Crown Estates followed George VI, not the departing Edward. The land answers to the office, not the person. Everything that funded the life Camilla lived as queen flows in an instant to Diana's son. The moment Charles is no longer the crown, the money follows the man who is. Number 8. The Duchy of Cornwall passes to Prince George. The Duchy of Cornwall passes to the heir apparent. When William becomes king, it passes to Prince George as the new Duke of Cornwall. A title and an income Camilla's family never touches. The machinery runs regardless of who steps down. The heir's estates always move to the next heir on accession, so even the children's inheritance moves toward Diana's grandchildren and away from everyone Camilla ever hoped to provide for. Number 9. She stops being a counselor of state. Camilla is a counselor of state, able to deputize for the king as the sovereign spouse. When Charles is no longer sovereign, she is no longer his consort-in-law, and the role passes to the new king's spouse, Catherine, and the adults next in line to the throne. The constitutional standing she holds today isn't hers by right. It's borrowed from Charles's crown, and the moment the crown moves, the standing moves with it. Number 10, royal warrants. Her authority passes to Queen Catherine. Royal warrants are granted by the king and queen. Camilla grants them as queen. On abdication, that authority passes to the new queen, Catherine. Her name comes off the warrants. Catherine's goes on. Every business that displayed Camilla's royal arms now displays the arms of Diana's daughter-in-law. It is a small thing and a total thing at once. Her endorsement, her prestige, her mark on British life, transferred with everything else. I really want to get to number 13, the moment the crown itself leaves the vault and is placed on Catherine's head instead of Camilla's. But first, 11 and 12, because those are the two Margaret can actually see, the palace and the jewels. Once you watch where the tiaras go, you'll understand why Wallis Simpson left England and never came back. Number 11. Buckingham Palace. The working residence follows the crown. Buckingham Palace is the monarch's official residence. It goes with the crown to William. Camilla loses her place at the center of royal life. The Windsors left Britain entirely after 1936. No palace, no official residence, a life spent drifting between France and America. The most famous address in the world was never Camilla's home. It was the king's, and the king is gone. Number 12, the tiara vault. The state jewels stay with the crown and pass to Catherine. The great tiaras and the state jewels are held in right of the crown, never personally Camilla's. On abdication, the vault serves the new queen, Catherine. Catherine wears what Camilla only ever borrowed. In 1936, Wallis received no royal jewels at all, only the private pieces Edward bought her. The crown's collection stayed with the crown, and every stone Camilla was photographed in, on every state occasion, on every red carpet. None of it was ever going home with her. Not the tiaras she wore to the state banquets, not the necklaces the cameras loved, not a single piece she borrowed for 20 years and wore as if it were her own. They belong to the crown, and the crown moves to Catherine. Diana's daughter-in-law inherits the vault that Diana's rival was only ever allowed to visit. Number 13. There is no guaranteed role at William's coronation. At William's coronation, the central roles belong to King William and Queen Catherine. Camilla has no guaranteed place in any of it. In 1936, the Windsors were pointedly not invited to the great state occasions. Not even the coronation of the brother who replaced Edward, held the very next year. Think about that. The woman crowned queen in Westminster Abbey in 2023, at the very heart of the sacred ceremony, could find herself watching the next coronation from exile. The way Wallis did. The crown she wore once becomes a crown she is no longer invited near. Here is the cruelty in it. Diana never got to be crowned at all. She divorced before Charles was king, and she died the year after. She was denied even her crown. Now, the woman who took Diana's place could be denied a seat at the ceremony where Diana's son takes his. The wheel turns all the way around, and it stops on Camilla. Number 14. Her precedence drops below Queen Catherine and the blood royals. In the order of precedence, the wife of a former king ranks below the reigning queen and the blood royal family. Camilla would curtsy where she once received the curtsy. In 1936, the Windsors' precedence was a permanent wound. They ranked below the working royals for the rest of their lives, and it never stopped stinging. The woman who walked at the front now walks behind Catherine, behind the children, behind Diana's whole line. In the choreography of the monarchy, where you stand is who you are. And Camilla spent 20 years being moved, step by step, to the front. Abdication moves her to the back, behind everyone whose blood, not whose marriage, gives them the right to be there. Number 15. Clarence House and the Grace and Favor Homes. William decides. Her Grace and Favor homes, Clarence House and the others, are held at the Crown's pleasure. And now, that means William's pleasure. Their use is no longer guaranteed. In 1936, the Windsors held no British royal residence by right. Everything was negotiated, and little was given. The homes Camilla moved through as queen were never keys in her hand. They were keys on loan, and the new king holds the ring. Number 16. No official royal role at all. A former king's wife has no constitutional role, no state duties, no deputizing, no official standing. The public work that defined her simply ends. Wallis Simpson never carried out a single official royal duty in her entire life, because the role doesn't exist for a former king's wife. 20 years of patronages, appearances, ribbon cuttings, and speeches, and the platform that gave them meaning is gone in an afternoon. Number 17. No guaranteed seat at the state occasions. The state opening, the balcony, the great ceremonies of the crown. The roles belong to King William and Queen Catherine. Camilla has no guaranteed place. The Windsors were kept away from all of it. The balcony where Diana once waved. The abbey where Diana once married. The stages the whole world watched. Those stages don't belong to the woman who replaced Diana anymore. They belong to Diana's son and Diana's heir. Number 18. What she actually keeps. Ray Mill and a courtesy title. That's the almost. Here's the honest part. The word almost in almost nothing. She keeps Ray Mill House. She bought it privately as a divorcee in the 1990s, before she ever married Charles, and it's hers regardless. She keeps her personal possessions, and she keeps a courtesy title as the former king's wife. In 1936, Wallis kept Duchess of Windsor, Edward's private jewels, and a house in France. A title, some stones, a home, and none of the crown. Camilla keeps exactly that shape of thing, a house she bought before Charles and a name with nothing behind it. No throne, no palace, no jewels, no role. A house in Wiltshire she paid for herself, and a courtesy title the new king permits her to keep. After 20 years at the very summit of British life, that is the floor she lands on. It is not nothing, but set against everything she held the day before, it is almost nothing. Stay with me, because consequence 20 is the one that outlasts all the others, the loss no document lists and no one ever recovers from. But first, 19. Because everything you've heard so far already happened to one real woman, and her name is the key to the whole story. Number 19. The Wallis Parallel. One woman already lived all of it. Every consequence on this list isn't a prediction. It's a rerun. One woman lived the whole thing, the lost crown, the refused HRH, the exile, the empty title, the borrowed homes she had to leave. Her name was Wallis Simpson. Duchess in name, denied the HRH, no role, no residence, no place in royal life, for 50 years, until her death in 1986. The playbook Camilla would face isn't hypothetical. It's a biography. It's already been written, and the ending doesn't change. Everything Camilla would face, Wallis faced first. The removal, the exile, the borrowed title, the closed doors. But here is the difference that should frighten her. Wallis married a former king who gave up the throne for her. Camilla married one who put her on it. Wallis started with nothing and lost a little. Camilla starts as queen, which means she has the whole height of the crown to fall. Number 20. The public verdict, the one Wallis never recovered from. The final loss isn't a title or a jewel, it's the verdict. A former king's wife is remembered as the reason a crown was set down, not as a queen, but as the woman a king was lost for. History decides, and it doesn't forgive. Wallis was blamed for the abdication for the rest of her life, vilified, excluded, never rehabilitated in the public mind. That was the loss that never healed. For Camilla, the memory of Diana would make that verdict harder still, because the country that mourned Diana would never let the woman who replaced her be remembered kindly. That is the 20th thing. It was never on any document, it was the verdict. You cannot sign a paper that protects a reputation. You cannot legislate the way history remembers you. Wallis had money, a title, and a comfortable exile, and none of it saved her from being remembered forever as the woman who cost Britain its king. Camilla would inherit the same sentence, sharpened by the memory of Diana. That is the one loss that outlives the estate, the jewels, and the crown. And it is the one loss no king can ever undo. Those were the 20 things, from a single signature that ends the crown to the public verdict Wallis Simpson carried to her grave. The Queen's style, the HRH, the money, the estates, the jewels, the palace, the role, the rank. 20 losses in the first hour, and the only things left standing are a private house and a courtesy title with nothing behind it. Britain has run this exact playbook once. It kept the receipts, but whichever way the crown finally reaches William, a signature or a funeral, he won't be starting from nothing. His mother left him instructions. Diana left William 20 warnings about the very woman Charles crowned, and he's acting on every one. If you want to see the list Diana left her son, that video is right here.